welcome to episode 30 of Thrashcast. I'm your host, Billy, and I'm here with my partners, Jim and Ken. How are you guys doing today?
No, we're doing okay, sir.
Doing
All
great.
right.
Awesome.
Sounds good. And then just a quick reminder, where can you find Thrashcast? We're at www.horrormetalsounds.com. And if you want to find the video on YouTube, we're at same thing, Horror Metal Sounds at keng.2864. And of course, as we like to say, please like and subscribe to the YouTube channel and each of the videos. It's free for you, and it certainly helps our channel grow, and we do very much appreciate it. So in terms of the agenda today, so we're going to the UK. We haven't done a UK show yet, so this is should be fun. So we're going to be covering the band Xentrix, and we're doing Shattered Existence from 1989. As usual, we've got some band questions that I shared with the guys beforehand, and in spirit of the theme of UK bands. We're going to do each of our top 10 thrash metal bands from the UK. But before we kick that off, we'll do our What's Spinning or news segment. Jim, do you want to kick us off?
Absolutely. So just a quick, I guess my news segment will be, I'm going to bring up about the tour that's going to be kicking off next year, early next year. So it starts in... there's going to be 28 dates for Kerry King, who's going to be doing a headlining tour. So this is really exciting because rumor has it, I mean, I guess the tour that he's just come off of, or he's just finishing up now, they're 45 minutes set. It'll be nice to see a real headlining time and maybe get some more of the new stuff on there. Plus, I mean, he didn't overdo it with the Slayer stuff, which was kind of cool, but I guess he's got a few extra Slayer surprises coming through. So that'll be really, really cool. And they're going to be, it kicks off on January 15th in San Francisco, 28 dates. And they're going to be touring with Municipal Waste, which is awesome, and Alien Weaponry. Yeah. So a couple of great bands there. And I think, I believe there's a couple of Canadian dates in there.
Yeah, there's a Toronto show.
Yeah, so that's wicked. And I mean, the extra Slayer songs, I think that'll be pretty cool. I guess we all saw a lot of the video from them touring, and I mean, as soon as they just light into some of the Slayer songs, although I like to hear more of his catalog as well, which would be wicked. So I mean, it's kind of a win-win tour there, and I'm sure this is great, a great kind of stick their toe in the water and see what because the reception was so good as them opening, I think, and I mean, yeah, they're opening for Lamb of God and that's a big band, but I think Kerry King can definitely bring the noise and get this going. So I think that's going to be really cool. On the excitement, from Slayer playing their kind of little bit of a reunion show, the one-off show. They've got a couple of them there in Chicago a few weeks ago, which just was amazing. I mean, the video from that and the sound was just phenomenal. So I think it's perfect timing, and I think it's a great chance for him to really get out there.
And what's the Alien Weapon? Like, I've heard of them before, but are they like crossover or thrash or even thrash? I'm not sure.
I'll be honest, I'm not familiar with them at all.
I don't think it's thrash.
Yeah.
Yeah, for some reason I always thought they were maybe like power metal or something, but I don't know. Like, I'm
not either. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
But definitely, you got Municipal Waste there. That would be good thrash band there to get things going. That would be crazy.
The only thing that threw me off is I think like the venues are fairly small. I would have thought they could do bigger. Like in Toronto, it was Ken at the Opera House.
Yeah.
Which is not that big.
No.
Yeah, it was surprising.
I think he's being a bit more safe. I think when I saw a few interviews, and when he was talking about headlining, he's not really he knows, like, he really differentiates between Slayer and Kerry King, and he knows that you know, it's obviously two different animals, and but what I like about it is that he's not just depending on the Slayer, just the Slayer songs. I think that's great. I think he really said, we're going to be, when we get more time, we obviously would throw a couple extra in there for surprises, and I also heard that they're probably going to try to mix it up. Maybe, I don't know if it's half the tour, just maybe from show to show. I can't see it, but maybe throwing a few different ones in throughout the tour, which would be really, really cool and keep people sort of on their toes. But I like the fact that he's kind of very guarded about it, and I like that, because you don't want to have him just going out there and playing like 75% Slayer songs, and just a few of his new songs. I hate when they do that, and that's what he doesn't seem to be doing that, which is great.
Cool. Yeah, if all the venues are the same size as the Toronto one, this thing's going to sell out pretty quick.
Oh
yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
for sure.
And what I'm spinning, I got lots of stuff that arrived in the past little while. The first thing I picked up was the Halloween, the Master of the Rings redo, the re-release. So it's really, really cool. It's 2 discs. It sounds phenomenal. It's a remaster. You can see the cover's a little bit different than the original. And I think they're doing it to 6 albums. So I want to get a few of the other ones as well. But it's just an availability thing. So most of these I have like a copy already. And when something else comes out, I'm kind of pushing that ahead of it. But the sound was definitely worth it. And with Master of the Rings, I never did pick up the remaster that I think came out in 2015 or 2018. I can't remember. So this is kind of a real treat. Yesterday, I received the Warlord, the most recent Warlord one, which is From the Ashes to the Archives. The Hot Pursuit Continues. Oh man, this is a killer album. And what I like about it is, so half the album is done with Giles Lavery, and if you're getting it online, you only get 8 songs. So if you're listening to it on Apple Music, and this one has the 14 songs with the back end of it by John Rucker from 10 to 13. So it's kind of neat. And what's really cool, what I like about these high roller releases, they're a little bit more expensive, but like it comes with a slide kind of a cover, and it's really, really well done. And no, this is definitely a cool one. Just quickly, 1349's new one, got that.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, this is one hell of a like. If you're not a fan of black metal, you got to pick this up. Yeah, you got to get this, because this has. It's not as I mean, it's pure black metal, but it's so well done, so well produced. The production on this is so good that I can see crossing over to a lot of more mainstream and other genres of metal, like myself. I mean, I'm not the biggest black metal fan, but this album is amazing, and I've bought a lot of their back catalog. It's awesome. But I think the biggest one that I've picked up lately is this one here, Blood Incantation. I mean, holy cow, this.
Yeah.
I can't stop listening to it, and I tell you, it's Morbid Angel meets Pink Floyd. It's definitely a work of art. You have to. I think every metalhead should pick this up and really, there is nothing out there right now that just sounds like this. And every time I listen to it with some really good headphones on. And it just sounds different every time I listen to it, and it is so trippy. It's really cool, and it's this could easily, like right now, I've got a pick for album of the year, but I mean this one's really edging in there, and it's only because I'm looking at it from 4 or 5 perspectives: what I'm listening to, how many times I'm listening, how many times I revisit an album throughout the year, and just whether I don't want to just pick bands that are like legacy to me because I like what they did in the past or anything. But this is just one hell of an album, and I've listened to this probably 50 times this weekend. So
cool.
Anybody gets it, definitely check it out. I think again, this is another one that's total cross genre, and it's so important that these bands do that. So, I had a lot of, when I put it on my Facebook, a lot of people were like, I can't read the band's name. And I'm like, I know that's part of the reason for it, but you got to give it a chance. It's not what you think. And then some of the mainstream friends that I have all over the globe are like, wow, this is amazing, and just blown away with it. So anyways, that's what I'm into this week. And holy cow, and it's Prime Days too, so I've got a whole bunch of stuff on order.
I didn't find anything on sale for Prime Day. Like my whole wish list of all the stuff I'm tracking that's too expensive, not even one item was on sale.
I know, even I want the new Flotsam album, but it only went down 50 cents. I'm like, no, I gotta go down farther. It's $36 right now. It's like, no.
Crazy.
Yeah.
So Ken, what do you got for us this week?
Not a lot, but the only news item that I have is the Al Jurgensen from Ministry has announced that he's going back to Cleopatra Records to record one final Ministry album that's due out in 2025. And he did announce that they're bringing back Paul Barker, their longtime bassist, which is good news because Al and Paul have been working for years in the group. So it's kind of a bit of mixed emotion because I'm surprised that they're actually decided to call it quits. So
yeah, me too.
Supposedly that this is the final Ministry album ever, but we'll see. That's what they're saying. So yeah, I was a bit surprised by that, but that was the only news I got this week. I was like,
I guess that's why they're popping up all over the European festival scene for next year to promote the album, I guess.
Yeah, you're probably right about that. Since that's going to be the final release from the band.
Yeah.
In addition for me being sick all last week and somewhat this week, I get that news and I was like, oh man, what a way to
kick you when you're down.
Yeah, I was like, really last minute, because the new album just came out not long ago, and I like it.
Yeah.
So I'm like, wow, there's something to build upon, and now no more. So we're getting one final record, and that's about it.
I guess it could be worse. It could have been that they're done and there's nothing more.
That's true.
Look on the bright side.
Yeah, good point. Good point. What I was kind of spinning is what Jim just showed off. Blood Incantation. I was in the middle of writing a review for it, and so I was listening to that all last weekend, and yeah, that's really what Jim said is pretty much the truth. It's like you take elements of King Crimson, you take elements of Pink Floyd. It's a very interesting idea the way it's been handled. So it'll be on my end of the year list for sure. I can guarantee you that much.
I think
that's about.
I think it's the originality. I think it's just taking this to it's proggy death metal, and I think it's just, but it's not over proggy, and I don't know. It's, you gotta listen to it. It's like the first time I'm a fairly big Pink Floyd fan, so the first time I listened to, I don't know, The Wall, when I was a lot younger, it kind of blew me away. Just the sounds and everything, and this is just very similar but a lot more heavier. It's just so cool, man.
Yeah, I love it too. It's the contrast between the different styles. Yeah. Do you guys know the band? These guys, the band Lunar Chamber.
I've heard of them,
which I really like because it's very similar to this stuff.
Okay.
It's they're a death metal band just like these guys, but they'll all of a sudden break into a prog section or a jazz rock fusion section, or they really are unique with combining the different styles. So that might be worth checking out too.
I've heard of them. I've never actually heard any of the music.
Yeah, they're really new, so not well.
Okay.
Okay. Anything else on your side, Ken?
Nope, that's all I have, Billy.
Okay. I did pretty good this week. Last time I was hosting, I forgot I was hosting. So I was sitting here waiting for to be called on. So kudos to myself. So yeah, in terms of wood spinning, so two items. This really deserves
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, that's
some
good.
attention here. This came in the mail.
Yeah.
So this is Corrosive with a K, and the album's called Catastrophic Creation, but with a K also. So these guys are like Canadian thrash. I love this album. I think they have like three albums maybe in total, but this came out just a couple weeks ago, if I remember
Mhm.
right. But it's like old school thrash. There's a little bit of like death metal on a
Mm.
couple songs, but nothing too like extreme. It's just basically if you like good old fashioned thrash, this is worth checking out. So can't recommend them enough. Not sure how popular they are outside of Canada, but it's on CDN Records, which is a Canadian record label. Then the other what's spinning item I have more on the death metal side. People with sensitive thoughts on artwork might not appreciate it. I don't know, but it's a I know Jim
Wow.
likes it too. So Undeath. So these guys are like New York, again, very much sticking to old school death metal. I mean, you can hear some of the many legendary old death metal bands from New York. You can hear some of that, but I find just the songwriting's just really well done. Like everything's memorable. The songs don't all sound the same, which can happen with death metal. So the songs are all memorable.
Mhm.
Every unique, and the musicianship's like really strong. So yeah, really like it. So Jim, you have it there. What do you
Oh,
think?
it's a so you. I didn't even know this band existed. You sent me. We were talking about it on Friday, I think. So I ordered it like after I listened to the first two songs, and I was like, ah. And I listened to it about 10 times on Friday,
Yeah,
and it's just the production on it is so good. And
yeah,
and I've been using it a lot. You're right. Like my pick at death metal album of the year was 200 Stab Wounds, but this is rivaling it. I mean, and I like Nile and Necrot as well, but those two are just neck and neck. And this one, I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's the production's a bit better, but it just sounds so good. And it just reminds me of old school death metal,
yeah,
but with a really like the musicianship, the vocals are really really good. And I think a lot of people who maybe are turned off from from the harsher vocals, this is actually, I don't find it harsh at all. I find it really really just really really good. I love it, absolutely love it, raving about this album since, and it got delivered like within a day and a half. It was awesome.
yeah.
So
I saw you posted it. I'm like, how did you get that so fast? Like I pre-ordered mine like weeks ago, but you had yours like pretty much the day after I got mine.
oh yeah, and the artwork's amazing.
Yeah.
Ken, you must love that artwork.
Yeah, the artist is really good. Check out his art from the previous album as well.
Okay.
That's
Yeah.
really super, super good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. And these guys are like I believe they're on tour because I'm seeing them like a North American tour. I'm seeing them in Toronto in about 2 weeks' time, later
Oh,
in
wicked.
October. So like these guys being in New York, like when I lived in Philadelphia, a small band, it was somewhat local, like Philly to New York, but they were always like these guys kill it live. Like I recommend anyone see them if they can.
Cool.
So yeah, so that's it in terms of wood spinning. A couple really quick news things. I'm a fan. I've talked about it before. Milwaukee Metal Fest. So 2025, May 15th to May 18th, they announced like the first like 15 or so bands. And so some of it appears one headliner is down, which took me a bit by surprise. I wasn't expecting that, but then you got Destruction, Exodus, Ex-Hoarder, Deceased, Dillinger Escape Plan.
Ooh.
and cool Trouble. Like you remember
Ah,
the
yes,
band Trouble. The singer for Trouble now is the singer of Exhorder,
that's right.
Kyle, whatever
Yeah.
his name is. So yeah, so that should be pretty cool. There'll obviously be a lot more. It's 3 days, so there'll be a lot more bands announced. And then really quick, another festival I enjoy in the U.S., Hell's Heroes in Texas. I talked about the lineup before. They announced 19th, March 19th, the day before the 3 day festival, a pre-fest. And so this is a pretty cool lineup. So they're bringing over Gravedigger from Germany,
Uh,
who doesn't get over that much. So that's cool. And a band I'm super psyched about. I know, Jim, you like them, Satan.
oh
Uh,
yeah,
Going to be there. I think Hellstar is there. Of
Oh,
course, that's a
cool.
local band to the Houston area, and
Yeah.
Riot. And so I'm a bit
ooh,
confused about Riot because isn't Riot now Riot V? Uh,
Yes.
yeah,
but now
Yes.
this is like so they're showing as only Riot, not Riot V. So I'm
Oh,
assuming it's the same Riot,
it
but like they've
is.
left off the V for some reason.
Yeah, it's probably just left off. They go by either or. So, but yeah,
Okay.
that's it, because the band split there a while back. So
that's
they,
right. Yeah,
Yeah.
there's two versions.
yeah. But Mean Street's a great album.
Oh, I love it. Yeah.
I started working on my top 30 albums of the year, and now I think I have to go to 50 or 40. But like Mean Streets is a great album. It's got
Yeah.
kind of
Really good.
what I love about it is just the kind of it's got kind of an 80s sound, but it's just really good heavy metal.
Yeah, no, I'm a big fan too. So really quick, it's funny, I announced this on the last episode, the fact that Wacken wasn't sold out. And like 2 days later, they announced it sold out. So
Oh, wow.
that's kind of interesting. One thing that also is kind of odd, Atrophy made an announcement today, or not today, like a day or two ago, that once again they're looking for a new drummer.
Yeah.
Oh,
So there's been
wow.
a revolving door on the drummer ever since they put out Asylum. So I'm not sure what's happening there. That's kind of interesting. And then really quick, one new tour announcement that just came out, maybe today, the supergroup Category 7
Yes.
Yes.
announced
Yeah.
their tour, but it's not for a while, like March 2025. So I'm not sure why they announced that so early.
Yeah. I didn't buy their new album. I listened to it. It's like probably 30%. I like it a lot, but I didn't get into it.
Yeah, I gotta admit, I found like a cheap CD
Yeah.
Oh,
at
cool.
the local shops here. I haven't even played it yet, so I don't even I can't even make a judgment. But but with all those amazing musicians on there, it's got to be
Yes.
decent.
Oh yeah.
Mhm. Yeah.
I mean,
Cool.
you know, you've got Armored, you've got John Bush on there, which I love. It's just, I find it very just kind of, I don't know, it felt rushed to me. I don't know.
Oh,
The
maybe.
couple of the singles were just kind of, and I mean, he's so busy, coming off of how many tours with Armored Saint, like for Queensryche and Wasp, and then he's coming back again through with Wasp again in a few more in another month, and I found it kind of like that guy just never stops, and I love. I mean, you guys know we talked about Anthrax. I love the Bush era. So, but I just like it. I think it's the problem is it's too long. There's a lot of tracks on the album, if I remember right, and I
Mm.
just, man, I just can't like. There's a lot of similar tracks that sound the same. So,
All right, well, I'll get to it. So
yeah.
many things to get to. Okay. So anyone else have anything before we jump into the main topic?
No?
Nope, we're
Okay,
all good.
cool. So over to Xentrix. A band from I guess England. So they were originally named Sweet Vengeance, which I didn't know. 1984 to 1988 under that name, and in the early days they were actually like a Metallica tribute band.
Oh
Uh,
yeah,
so that makes some sense because you definitely hear some of that
yeah,
influence in the music. So that's kind of cool. six albums to date. The vocal position has been a bit of a revolving door. So the first three albums, which is really my preference, I guess. The original singer Chris Astley. Then there's the album that comes after that called Scourge. That's Simon Gordon. And then currently on the comeback, we got three records to date, and we have Jay Walsh. So they've had a few breaks along the way after the album called Kin. They took a little break and so came back in '96. I did this sort of, I guess I'd call it groove metal, probably largely, but that was the time, so no surprise. Scourge in '96. That wasn't exactly a big success. So the band broke up again and returned in 2019. And I love the comeback albums. I mean,
Yeah.
Oh, it's wicked.
Yeah.
yeah, but even when I know we got some of this wrapped in the questions, but for me, it's the seven words. Like that
Yeah.
thing is like that's my second favorite Xentrix album. So that
Wicked.
might be
Cool.
controversial, but and yeah, so the band's still going strong. I mean, hopefully we get a new album soon. They're out there touring Europe. Like I got to see them at Bloodstock, so that was amazing. Playing the entire Shattered Existence album. So
Right.
that's what they've been doing. All their touring now is just covering that one album from front to back. So that's pretty cool.
And their latest album produced by Andy Sneap, so that's pretty cool.
Yep.
Yeah. I think it's safe to say he's got some experience.
Oh yeah,
he knows what he's doing.
I think he's done a few of them. I think he did Bury the Pain as well. But I mean, you have a producer like that. I mean, he knows, he brings out the best in what you're going to want to sound like. So that's cool. Yeah.
I don't know if you guys have him in your top 10, but he's going to appear as a musician in one of my top 10 albums coming up.
Ah, cool.
Gotcha. Yep.
I'm giving that away, I guess. So, off to the questions. Okay. So, first question for you guys. So, obviously, when we think of thrash, you always hear of the German Big Four, the American Big Four. So, that seems to dominate. A lot of good, like UK thrash bands. I think so, anyways, but they never seem to break out to the same extent as the US or German counterparts. Any thoughts on why that might be? Jim, I'll go to you first.
I don't know. I think it might be just maybe I would fall back a little bit on touring, maybe. It's hard for these bands in a lot of, even back in the day to come over and probably tour the North American market and get kind of the message across. I mean, I don't know. It's kind of sad because there's so much great material there in so many great bands. I mean, I know we're going to be doing a top 10 list, and I have maybe even one that could be classified as a bit more deathier, but I think it's probably got to do with that, which is kind of sad. I mean, this album we're talking about, I didn't realize that they were originally a Metallica. Oh, there's the cover there. Yeah. A Metallica cover band, but I mean, especially the original lead singer, he sounds very much like Hetfield, so it kind of puzzles me on that. So, but absolutely, that's what I think. I'm not sure. What are you guys thinking?
Yeah, Ken?
I don't know. I was thinking about what's the reason.
Yeah. It's hard to come up.
Because the Americans are Americans, so they kind of practically invented thrash, which is ironic because they're taking it from the British New Wave, of course, and
exactly.
So it's funny that it's weird in that sense, but I don't know. Like you have also the European side of things, so maybe it's just that for a UK band, it's hard to break through because you have what the Americans are doing. You have what's going on like in
Germany.
In Germany, Germany specifically.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. It's hard to say. I'm not really sure what's the specific reason, but yeah, that's the thing. Two things that I would think of as well. Like the Americans, of course, and then when you got it out of Germany, it's hard to break through.
What do you
No,
guys think this though? Do you guys think that maybe even in the UK that maybe thrash metal, I mean, as popular as I think it is there, but like I know a lot of tours that happen with thrash bands coming up through the 80s and that it was fairly like they went into some of the larger markets there, but didn't really go like they are doing now. I would say it's probably maybe, I mean, I don't know, but it could be maybe more popular now than it was. So it was a little harder for thrash bands to get maybe an at home audience more so than like the Germans just absolutely attacked it. You know, the Swedish, all the thrash bands in Europe, many markets in Europe kind of really latched onto it. And then obviously in America or North America, because we have our own in Canada, our big four, you know, we all kind of jumped onto it too. I'm just wondering maybe it just didn't get that seeding because maybe, and it's weird because Ken, you brought it up. Motorhead is the start of kind of thrash, but then it kind of jumped over the Americans and the Germans and everybody kind of constructed it into their own thing. And maybe there's just more of an attachment to the new wave of British heavy metal there, like bands like Maiden and stuff like that. I don't know, but that's one of the other things I'm thinking.
yeah.
Well, the punk.
Sorry,
Yeah.
go
Sorry, I was just gonna say the punk scene
ahead.
also was very prevalent there. So what I noticed is a lot of thrash fans starting with they weren't even thrash; they were punk bands or
Right.
a lot of punk influence, and then kind of switched over to thrash. So I don't know if that has something to do with it as well.
Yeah, I think it might. Like I guess it's like I've seen this question come up in so many like like other YouTube channels, and like nobody's able to like quite pinpoint this thing. But like I guess two things I think of, and feeding off of you, Ken. So like like a lot of the so we take Xentrix. So their first album was out in '89, pushing 1990.
True.
And I don't want to say this about all the UK thrash bands because there's going to be one or two that prove this rule wrong, but most kind of came out in the much later 80s. And so everybody in the UK who was a thrash fan was already listening to German thrash and American
True.
thrash. Maybe there's a timing thing. And then I guess to the point you made, Ken, the other thing I came up with is so, like in the early 80s, like people, you had the punk scene. So people were listening to that. That was fueling the audience there. And also new wave of British heavy metal. So like bands like, Maiden and Satan and all the Blitzkrieg and all of them, right? They weren't quite as fast as the thrash was, right? So like people may have started listening to that and didn't sort of graduate to the thrash, or when they did, they graduated to like the Creator and the Metallica that were out a few years before the UK thrash bands. I don't know. That's the best thing I can come
Well,
up.
when you think about it, Lars's big influence, I mean, from Metallica, obviously, was like Saxon, Diamond Head, Motorhead, a lot of these
Yeah.
bands from the new wave of British heavy metal. I mean, Christ, he flew over there when he was like 15 and lived with the guys from Diamond Head for months there, and came back and sort of brought that with him, and then they definitely toiled to make it into more of an American thrash thing. But yeah, it's weird. That's a hard question. Good question.
Yeah,
Well,
no, I don't.
like Onslaught guys, like they
Yeah.
started out like in '84,
True.
and
Yeah.
they were pretty much a hardcore band. They weren't even thrash,
Yeah.
and then they kind of changed over. So I think a lot of that happened. I think at the time, so they weren't even involved in thrash.
Yeah, we
I don't
need
know
Sam Dunn to go back to his early
Yes.
days and
exactly.
completely dissect the the thrash scene from there to get to the end, to get to the bottom of it. Uh, okay, cool. So again, going back to, we'll talk a bit about the albums. So this album, Shattered Existence. So this is obviously the debut album. They've taken a lot of different directions along their career, but strictly looking at it as a first album by a band, how do you think they did? Ken, we'll start with you.
Well, I think they did. I think they did really well. Like the music is great. You can't like complain about the music. Um, I know we're not giving it a number or anything, but for as a first album from a band, I think it's a pretty decent thing. I put it in like the upper fives for sure. So it's it's a solid album. Like I can't hear this and go, it's garbage. Every song is pretty good from what I remember it when I was listening to it on the weekend. So yeah, it's a solid as a debut. It's pretty damn good.
Yeah. Sorry, you'd give it a 5 out of 10?
No, what? Sorry, no. We were giving numbers, but I meant like say within the a top five from like 5 to 1 kind of
Oh
thing.
yeah, yeah, no, I got you. Okay, okay,
Yeah,
cool.
that's what I meant. Like I think it's good. It's good to be in that kind of a category.
Yeah, yeah, no, I got you. I got you. Okay, cool. Jim?
Oh, I think it's a great album. I think they, this, again, this is a band that pisses me off because they only have so many albums. And I see such wasted opportunity when these bands do this. It makes me mad because I want more and more and more stuff. And I mean, their latest album, Seven Words, is a phenomenal album. But this album here is right up there with the top thrash releases of 1989. And like, we all know that in 89, 90, thrash, really, there's so many masterpieces released, going into the latter part of the 80s. I mean, the production on this sounds great. The material, the writing is great. The musicianship is awesome. I mean, there's parts of it that, rival Metallica. So, I sad that it came out in 89. This maybe had it come out in 86. And then they had 2 other albums. Maybe the momentum would have been a lot better. But I think this is a great first album, and it's one of my favorite. Although I do like Scourge, and I think I had that on one of my, what was it, 96? I think we did top albums of 96, and I think that
Yeah, I
was,
remember you mentioning it. Yeah.
yeah, I like it. But I mean, I don't mind the groove metal thing, but yeah, Shattered Existence is definitely for UK thrash is a cornerstone album. So I mean, it's a great album. I love it.
Yeah, no, I'm a big fan. Like like in no way can you say Xentrix is the most original band. Like they didn't
No,
create anything. So by no means is that the case. But I think a couple of things with the production is awesome.
yeah,
Like it sounds really good, I think. And what the band's really good at doing is usually I prefer albums that are the second or the third
mm-hmm.
because it's more mature, the songwriting's better. But these guys have this real good knack for catchiness
Yeah,
and melody in the songs, right? And they're able to shift between like really heavy and thrashy parts and more melodic and catchy hooks. They do it really well.
yeah,
So I think that's kind of what reason why I think it's a great first album. And in fairness, right, they've had a chance to listen to all the German thrash and the American thrash. So again, like you can't say they're the most original thing, but for what they did, I think they were really great songwriters. So
yeah.
that's why I'm a big fan of it. So okay, cool. So then we're going to go to a common theme that we've had lately is obviously Metallica doing the Black Album and our Megadeth. And so obviously the UK was watching as well because then we come up with Xentrix and the album
Yeah.
Kin. So I know you guys, I'm really curious with your thoughts here because I know you guys both like the Black Album. And what was the Megadeth one again? I forget that we did.
Countdown to
Oh yeah,
Extinction.
Countdown to
Yeah.
Extinction. What do you guys think of Kin?
It's
Uh,
okay.
Jim, you can go.
Yeah, it's okay. I don't like the cover.
Yeah, the
Yeah,
cover's awful.
It's kind of cold.
that
It's
was
kind of
all.
cold lakeish. Sorry, Ken.
No, no worries.
No, it's just you know what? I don't mind the album. It reeks of the time. So
Yeah.
they had to, like you said, they were paying attention. 90, it came out in 92. So but there's some great tracks on there. Like there's like almost almost over 6 minute tracks on there, like No More Time and that. They're pretty good. It's good, but the thrashy element is definitely a lot more turned down. And but I mean that's just the way it was going. I just would have rathered, like I found the like they were probably pandering to the back end of like what everybody was doing at the time. Okay, we're gonna kind of tune everything, we're gonna change everything a little bit, and you know they have the picture of themselves on there, which is kind of a little bit kind of lame-ish in my mind. I would have rathered something killing something, but anyways, it just yeah, it's the sign of the times. You know, I think it's a good. I like Scourge better than this album, and that's a little bit more, even more kind of off into a different direction. But I like it a bit better than this one.
Okay, cool. Ken?
I don't mind it. It's interesting at times. It sort of takes a little bit. I don't know if it's me, but it's like it lacks a little bit of bite.
Oh yeah.
The songs are like really kind of overly polished. Um, yeah, and obviously they're taking their cues from Metallica, Megadeth. That door got open, so why not go through it? Um, Maybe it's also a bit of a momentum killer because the first two albums and even the second album, which we haven't talked about, but the second album is really damn good, where they
It's good.
sort of really improved their sound and their style. That's a really good album. I like that
For
album
whose
quite a bit.
advantage? Yeah, no, it's a good album. Yeah.
But you get those two, and then you get Kin. So it's definitely a downgrade. It's not an upgrade at all.
Yeah. But I guess
Yeah.
that's like that's the same as like Injustice and going to black.
Yeah,
And
you're right. You're right.
and the masterpiece of Rust in Peace and going to
You're right.
but
Yeah.
again, we all know why it happened, right? So
Yeah.
yeah.
But unlike Metallica, these guys brought out Bury the Pain years later and kicked ass. So
yes.
I forgive them.
Yeah, no, that's true. Yeah. Yeah, no, like I remember buying this album after For Whose Advantage when this thing came out. And I don't even know, I probably threw the cassette out, like I hated it. But it was interesting. So they reissued it on vinyl probably a couple years ago, and I bought it. And for some reason I love it. I mean, in no way is it as good as the first two records. Like it's not even in the same universe. But where I say I like it is I actually like it better than Countdown and the Black Album.
Okay,
But
cool.
yeah, again, I don't know. That's personal taste. But so I didn't mind. But I hated it when it came out. I thought it was a complete piece of garbage.
Sure.
So, but yeah, okay. So let's move on. So, Jim, you mentioned is it Scourge or Scourge? I never know how to
Scourge.
Scourge, right?
Scourge.
Yeah, Scourge. So that was pretty different, right? You mentioned it, groove metal. There's like one or two that almost verge on rap metal a little bit too.
Yeah.
Vocalist Simon Gordon. Jim, what are your thoughts? Well, you already mentioned it, I guess. Anything you want to add? You said you liked it.
I liked it. Well, it was, I found, first of all, the album artwork drew me in because at this point, obviously, we were still not getting any music online. So when I picked it up without even hearing a single thing on it, and I think maybe I paid like, I don't know, 18 bucks for the $20 for the CD back then, and I kind of probably made myself listen to it because it was an investment. But I mean, the album cover right off the bat, you know, I was like, okay, I'm going to give these guys another chance. I didn't mind it at that point. You know, yeah, there's a couple of Limp Bizkit-y kind of things that are going on, but I mean, I'll be in true transparency. I mean, I bought Limp Bizkit albums back in the day too, although they're rotting and they're not even in my general population of my collection. They're off into an embarrassment side. So but you know, like it was just the sign of the times, I guess. But some of the groove stuff on it's not bad. I'm not into the more of the rap metal. It kind of, I don't know. I mean, I didn't mind like the stuff that was made to be rap metal, like with Anthrax and that, where they teamed up with Public Enemy. That's different, but them trying to kind of jump on it's kind of a little bit of new metal there, and you
that
metal.
track,
You know?
"Caught You Living," is not a favorite of mine.
Yeah, that's
yeah. So, but I
Yeah.
mean, I don't mind it. I actually like it better than Kin. So, but yeah, I think sometimes I get personal feelings where I feel like I've been, you know, I feel like the bands have let me down, and that's how I felt about the Black Album and part of Countdown to Extinction. but when they redeem themselves, then I'm okay with it. But I just find like I remember seeing, I didn't even buy that. I think I might have had it on cassette. And like you, Billy, and I'm pissed off because like I brought up Cold Lake, I threw Cold Lake away. I was so mad. But now it's, you know, I wish I would have kept it because Jesus
Yeah.
Christ, I want to get a copy of it just for my collection, you know.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
actually, I got to be honest, I've been listening to it, Cold Lake, and I mean, not to sidetrack, but it's not that bad.
No, it's not.
I'm just, they pissed me off.
Did we cover Celtic Frog? Yeah, we did, right? We
Yeah.
covered
Yeah, we did
what did we
to
do
make it
again?
there.
Yeah, to make it yeah, okay. Well, I mean, we'll be due for another album at some point.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I'm kind of a mixed feelings with this one. I definitely Simon's my least favorite singer in the band, I think. But you know, like I didn't like I Caught You Living, I hated. But like some
Yeah.
of the groovier tracks were still pretty strong, right? Like there's two and I have it on CD. My CDs are all out of order, so I couldn't go find it. But I think it was like Strength of Persuasion was
Yeah.
a song I always really like. Again, it's groove metal, but it's done like not too bad. And I think there's another one called Never Be, or like that wasn't too bad. But yeah, for me, it's my least favorite Xentrix album, but I can pull a couple of decent things from it.
Right.
Ken, what are your thoughts?
Really, I don't like it. I'm just not a fan. I don't really. I mean,
Yeah,
I
I
gave
would have
this.
thought you'd like this one because I know you
Yeah,
like some of these style
yeah,
changes.
I know. Yeah, you're right. I don't know. I was all right, but maybe I was. Well, I could have been listening to this when I was feeling kind of crappy, so that might contribute to my mood of it. I think it was all right. I actually don't think the vocals is that bad.
Yeah,
I don't like the rapping stuff.
yeah,
When he's actually singing, he has a bit of bite at times to the vocals, so that's okay. But I don't know. I might like Kin over this, to be honest.
Really.
yeah. I
Yeah,
do.
I
Yeah,
might.
yeah. Like if I were to rank, my least favorite would be Scourge, and then Kin would come next.
Yeah,
Uh, so yeah, by no means I'm a big fan. I could just find like I'm trying to be positive. So I find
sure. Yeah.
a couple of decent things about it.
You must,
Okay, cool.
you
Sorry,
must like the artwork, Ken.
huh?
Looks
Sorry.
cool. The artwork on Scourge is pretty cool.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think that's kind of neat. I love the whole kind of screaming mouth, and
Yeah.
that's kind of cool. I will say this about this band: they've never had good artwork. I don't like the artwork on the first album. The second album, I don't like it, but I understand what they were trying to do.
Yeah.
They were trying to do like budget, kind of. It looks like they're trying to, something. They had no budget, so they did their best to kind of make it look great.
Hmm.
The concept's interesting, but
But
yeah, I
bury
never.
the pain. Bury the
You
pain.
didn't like this,
Wicked.
Ken?
Yeah.
No, sorry. I'm mentioning like the beginning albums. When
Oh,
it
Oh,
the
started
early
out.
album. Yeah, okay, yeah, I'm with you.
Yeah, they're not great. The later stuff is fantastic. I love the artwork on the later stuff, but just
Yeah,
yeah,
okay, cool, yeah.
first two, no.
You know, like this is what, like I
Yeah, you
think I
kind
remember reading that the concept you may know this is Shattered Existence, but like the old man in the prison cell, and so the concept was like when you go to prison, it's pretty much over, so your
right.
existence is shattered. I don't know, I thought it was kind of cool, but
You like
I mean,
you kind of like that?
visually, it's not like a beautiful album cover.
no.
No,
Uh,
it's all right. I mean, I
yeah,
never really thought that they had like
and
really really tough
this
good
from an
artwork.
album cover, this is stupid.
Yeah. I like the idea of it, but you're right. It's not a great
Yeah.
cover.
But anyway, okay, so then that brings us to the comeback, right? So we get two albums so far, Bury the Pain in 19 and 7 words. I don't know if it was 23 or 22, but
22.
22, okay. So yeah, out for a bit, but yeah, we showed that. So the
Yeah, it's so great.
Bury the Pain. And then to me, this kind of, I don't know, looks like a crossover thrash album, right? But
Somewhat.
seven
Yeah.
words. So what do you guys think of the return of the band? Ken?
Oh, I love both these albums.
Yeah.
These are great. Like they're aggressive. The Bury the Pain, I love that album.
Oh, yeah.
I played that so much when it came out because I bought it because like I had to have it. And yeah, it's great. I was like, oh, this is pretty good for Xentrix. This is what they should be, and kind of like lost, but they kind of found their way again. And even Seven Words, you can't. That album is just a ripper all the way through. And yeah, Jay Walsh is a really good vocalist. Like I like him. I think he suits this band really well. And I know it's not all the original members back, but it's
Oh,
close to it. But yeah, it's great. It's those are really really good albums, and you should search them out if you don't have them.
yeah. Do you think Ken they would be even better with Rick Astley on vocals, or you're okay with Jay?
No, I think I would prefer Jay.
Okay.
Rick is an okay vocalist. He's a really good guitarist, but I don't know. I'm not. I think I prefer what's going on here with
Okay.
Jay.
I mean, they're both good. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I don't even think Astley's even doing the music anymore. I think he's out of the
Yeah, I
industry.
think so.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
From what
yeah,
I
I think
heard.
so. Yeah. Jim?
Yeah, no, I like it. I mean, the two albums are phenomenal. I think they're kind of like the underdogs of the thrash metal world, and then they come back with really two good, solid albums. And I mean, the last album's I think even better than the album before it. Seven Words, I love it, and I can't wait for another album. I mean, holy cow, that it just totally ripped in. I think it got positive reviews from a lot of the reviewers, and they were really happy they came back with such a good album. And this is like the type of thing that we talk about so many bands that need to kind of put out a new album, and this is a success story where they've been kind of dormant for quite some time, and then boom, reorganized and got their shit together and put out a couple of really good ones. And I think they're just going to keep doing it. I mean, I think it's split coin on that one. I love that album. Sorry, I love that song off the Seven Words. I think it's I didn't write it down. And there's a couple of great I mean, the whole album is awesome.
Yeah. Yeah. For me, Seven Words is my second favorite Xentrix album.
Yeah, you were saying that. Yeah.
I think it, yeah, I think it, I mean, I love this and Bury the Pain, but I thought this was even a step above Bury the Pain, but
same with me. Yeah.
Cool. So yeah, I think we pretty much hit on every album. I mean, we didn't dive too much on For Whose Advantage. Anything you guys want to add on that before we dive in? So this is For Whose Advantage.
Yeah, that album I really like a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel it's a bit more mature than the first album, and they sort of get away from the Metallica worship from the first album. And there's a couple of really good tracks on there. I like this album quite a bit.
Mm-hmm.
It's really strong. It doesn't get a lot of people talking about it, but I think it's a really strong album.
Yeah, there was like I put out there on my Instagram page like the Xentrix albums and asked what's everybody's like favorite, and so I ended up with I think 12 responses. So like everybody picks Shattered Existence or this as their favorite. So yeah, this seems to be the common theme. Yeah, for me, this is my third favorite. Like it comes after. Jim, anything you want to say on this guy before?
Same thing. It'd probably be my third favorite, but I agree with what Ken said. I probably less metallic-y sounding, but I love the first album. This was just like, I can't believe the sound difference or the change from that album to Kin and then even to Scourge. It was kind of like, holy Jesus. I mean, but I kind of like the cover. It's kind of stupid, but it's like, hey, big business. I love it. I kind of like it, and I always kind of considered that guy kind of their mascot in a way. So, but kind of, I mean, that's the album. Like, probably more people recognize that album more so than even the first one, to some degree. Because it's a very recognizable album cover. But no, I think it's great. But it would be my third behind the exact same as you guys. Like, I like the first one, the last one. Then that one, then probably Shatter. Then probably the one prior to that.
Yeah.
But just think Repka doing that cover, Whose Advantage, it would be amazing.
Yeah,
it would look so good if that was done by Repka.
Oh yeah.
What, Repka did that cover?
No. I'm saying if say just what if
Repka
did that cover,
Oh yeah.
It would blow. It would be so. It would be awesome. I think it would work so
Yeah.
well.
Yeah. And even like this is a stupid thing, but I don't know, like it's one of my favorite like
I like it.
I don't know if you call it a logo, but like the way they do their name.
Yep.
Yes.
I don't I mean it's a silly thing, but I've always thought it was one of the best like ways to write like a band name. I've always liked it.
Well, it's kind of like
And
Metallica.
they
I
stuck
like
with
it.
it like with every single like
Yep.
Yeah.
album.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I don't know, silly little thing. Okay, so Shattered Existence. We'll go through, do our track by track, and so understanding that we don't have to get too detailed, or we can get detailed, whatever you guys want to do. But this is the type of album where a lot of the songs are not going to be drastically different from one to
No.
the other. So
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
like we might sound a bit repetitive, but so be it. So, Jim, you're going to kick us off. We got No Compromise up first, a relatively short song.
Yeah, this is an amazing song and wicked guitar intro. This is a really good introduction to the band. I mean, first song, first album. It's fast vocals, good thrash track. I think it's got great groove to it, and it's got that definitely a Hetfield vocal vibe to it. But I really, really like it, and it's got a really good drum sound to it too. This is, I mean, the production on this album is really, really good.
Yeah.
And I mean, you start off with just a real barn burner of a song right off the track, right off out of the gate. I remember the first time I heard this album, I was like, oh man, this is awesome. And yeah, maybe going from track to track, it's not. I have a few outstanding ones that I really like. But this one's an awesome song. But I mean, to differentiate between what was going on at the time, I wouldn't have guessed. This sounds more like an American thrash band at the time. I mean, it just totally sounded like it came out of California, from the West Coast, and that's the way I felt about it when I first heard it. It probably took me until I read the liner notes that they were actually from the UK. So, but I mean, no, wicked, wicked track.
Yeah, like I'm sure we'll find this as we go through our top tens.
Yeah.
This probably out of all the bands, or maybe Evil in the earlier days, those bands really sounded like Bay Area thrash to some degree, right? Where some of the other UK bands had more of like a unique style to what they did. But okay, cool. So Ken, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, you know what though? Like this is a short song, and I kind of wish Metallica would play that kind of music now.
Yes.
Now? Oh yeah, no.
Oh, Jesus. Yeah.
No, but in the sense that where it's not overly, you don't need 8, 9, 10, 12
No.
minutes. Like
Yeah.
this is like, it's good. Like it's fast. There's lots of chugs. It's speedy. There's a decent solo in this one. And I like it. I don't have a problem with the song. I was thinking like this is what Metallica should do now. Go back to this kind of pattern where it's just a very like an easy template, not trying to over complicate the whole song. But yeah, for the opener, it's pretty good.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I love this track. It's one that they play live a fair amount. I've only seen them like what I guess twice, I think. Both in like festivals in Europe. But this is a good like live song. But yeah, I think like Chris Astley, right? Like I think the reason why I like him and so like he could be aggressive, he has like a gritty voice, and yeah, you could say he sounds a bit like Hetfield. But I just think he's really good at delivering the lines with like a melodic hook at the same time. So he's good. Like they're really memorable, the choruses on this thing, even though this thing is like really fast and thrashy, but
Yeah.
they're able to do that, right? So that's cool. And yeah, just the rhythm section in this, right? Like the drive, like it's just driving, like it just drives right over you. Like it's so good, it's aggressive. I'm a big fan of this, and the riffs, like they're also pretty good at some good. I mean, again, nothing like super complex, but just catchy, hooky riffs that stick with you in the song. So yeah, no, I enjoy this one. I think it's a good opener. So we go to track number 2, Balance of Power. Ken, why don't you start us here?
Yeah, this is great. It does obviously this is very much Metallica all over again there with the lyrical content. But I like it. It's got a nice solid chug. Like it's up tempo, which is great. It never really lets down. You get a nice solo, and then like at 340, you get that
Mhm.
first kind of mark with the tempo change.
Yeah.
Then you get the thrashy chugs. It's a good song all the way throughout. I this is obviously a Metallica song. Like you can tell balance of power. It's the kind of song Metallica would write.
Yeah.
But I think it's good too. Uh, Track one and track two play off each other really
Yeah.
well.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I'm a big fan of this one. I agree with you. It's got some good like tempo changes and
Yeah.
some pretty good like time changes as well. Like and there's even a couple like technical parts musically with the
Mhm.
riffs and the lead, so that kind of fits in. But again, I mean, this is the common theme for me, but they never like lose sight of the melody in the song either.
No.
No.
And so there's something to catch on to and like really sing along with. And as you said, Ken, it's also like with the tempo changes, it does a pretty good job of like getting into a crunch at times as well. So yeah, I'm a pretty big fan of this. Decent solo as well, but the chorus is really
Yeah.
memorable on this
Yeah.
track.
Yeah.
This seems to be a favorite of many people when I read reviews,
Was
but
it? Yeah.
um,
Okay.
or one of their favorites. But Jim,
I
what
can
are
see
your
that.
thoughts?
Yeah, I know. A great song. Like you guys pretty much said it all. It's got that kind of really cool drum and guitar intro that plays off of each other. And I like the harmonized vocals. I think this is a really good like vocal track. And the whole album is really vocally talented, but I think this one really shows it off. Same as you guys, it's a great track too. Um, and one of my favorites is coming up next. So but this is a great track. I love it.
Yeah. And I can't emphasize enough how the uh like the production is so good, how it
Yeah,
adds to these songs, right? The songs are so full and like just really cool.
yeah,
Like usually like again, this is 89. But I mean, if you go back listen to the early thrash albums, whether it be German or the US, they're all pretty raw sounding.
yeah,
But again, these guys had the benefit of coming later, not creating a new style.
True.
So, okay, cool. And even in this track, actually, I think it was this one, you actually get some like dueling solos that,
yeah.
that
Mm.
kind of remind me a bit of like a Maiden feel at times. But yeah, just a little here or there. Okay, so that brings us to track number 3, Crimes. Jim, what are your thoughts here?
Yeah, this is one of my favorite. I've got like probably four favorites on the album, and this is where I find the album really kind of takes off. It's got that classic sounding thrash intro. It's a heavy track, but it's got heavy melodic parts to it. I really like it. Again, it's got those higher kind of sounding Hetfield vocals at times, but I keep saying Hetfield vocals. That's just giving homage to what he sounds like. He has his own style and his own sound, but it just, when I hear it, the whole song construction kind of gives me a bit of a Metallica vibe, but it's got a wicked solo in it as well. Just a really cool track. And, third track in and nothing, we talk about maybe a bit of I'm not finding any really repetitiveness so far in the album, and I'm like it's really scratching that thrash itch. So awesome track.
Yeah, Ken?
Yeah, like this is a good song too. I mean, obviously, you're still hearing the kind of the Metallica influences,
Yeah,
especially in the writing of the song "Crimes." Um, but there's so much meat on the guitars, which
Yeah.
I kind of appreciate.
Yeah.
And his vocals are actually not too bad here. Yeah, he changed. There's a bit of a vocal change, or just I don't know, just the way he handles the song itself. But I think this is really good too. I like the riffing. I like all the riffing on this song. You won't go wrong. Like 1, 2, 3, all good songs.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I agree. Definitely Chris is using a somewhat different vocal approach for sure.
Yeah.
And again, we got like the chorus that's where I mean it's going to sound a bit repetitive, but like they're really good at writing a chorus. Like
Mhm.
it really sticks with you. It's really catchy, but then they can beef up everything around the chorus with like the and like thrashy musical parts. So yeah, this is really cool. But a great song that melds the melody and the aggression for sure. So that rolls us into track number 4,
Yeah.
Back in the Real World. Ken, over to you.
Yeah, this is good too as well. It's like it's got a lot of meat on the bones when you hear these kind of songs. Like has some good gang shouts going on in it. There's a nice tempo change which starts at like 145.
Yeah.
I think that's great. The
Yeah.
solo is actually really good. I like the solo here in this song. Again, it's a pretty solid song. I don't. What more can you say? It's like just 1, 2, 3, 4. You just keep going.
Yeah, and this one has some decent backing gang vocals as
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
with some of the others, and yeah, that solo at like just past the 2 minute mark is
Yeah.
is really good. So yeah, it's pretty aggressive too. Like, and Chris is a little more aggressive on the track as well. But Jim, what are your
Oh,
thoughts?
this is like the whole, like from here 4, 5, 6 are all listed as ones. I mean, these are the bulk of the album is just getting so good. This is a heavy song at 145 or 140, like Ken was saying. I find it's got a really cool Slayer chug to it. It sounds like something off of Show No Mercy, but with much better production. It's got a killer solo. And I think it's got probably one of the best solos on the album. But and the gang vocals, this is the first time you're kind of so they're here we are in song 4, and we haven't really heard that yet. So we now know they can take it into an even different direction, use
Yeah.
the gang vocals very effectively, and I like that. So it's a catchy song. I love it. But I mean, the next two, I got ones by a whole bunch of them here. So, but this is a really good part of the album.
You've had to use, Jim, your one A, B, C, D, and
Yeah.
E. Right?
Yeah.
Okay, well, you're still on the hot seat, Jim. So number 5, track number 5,
Oh,
Dark Enemy.
this has got the best. It's got a cool intro riff. It's another fast and heavy song, and I love that already dead kind of vocal that he sings on it. It's just, and the vocals are so fast. This is another one, and again, like they're taking the. None of these songs to me sound the same. And for like a thrash, like we talk about we talk about thrash albums. In a lot of cases, by song 5, you're starting to repeat a little bit. But I'm not finding that at all. I'm finding it just for me, it's getting better and better. And it's a great, great song. Great, great song. I love it. And like, I love that already dead kind of vocal part. It's pretty cool.
Cool. Ken?
Yeah, pretty much what Jim said. To be honest, pretty much
Yeah.
what he said. Yeah, it's good. It's got an aggressiveness. It's dark. It's heavy. I like the song title "Dark Enemy." It's really cool.
Yeah.
And actually his vocal tone is great here. So he gets a bit more on the aggressive side. I feel.
Yep.
So it makes the song very compelling. And I don't mind the soul here. The soul is actually pretty decent.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I had a couple points left in my notes, but you just hit on every one of them, Ken. So yeah, I totally agree. I mean, Chris is a little bit more aggressive here, and again, like just another great chorus, right? They've written another strong chorus. So yeah, so I got nothing else to add. You guys kind of hit it there. So then we roll on to track number 6, Bad Blood. Ken, over to you.
Yeah, this is it has some interesting elements. Like it starts out slow, but it really picks up. And when it picks up, it just goes that tempo change
Mm.
It's great. And like
Yeah.
when you get to the 220 mark, it's like, whoa, okay. And then they throw in the gang shouts,
Yeah.
which is great. And it goes back to the chorus. It works really well. And then like 3 minutes after, like it's just great. Like a lot of tempo changes,
Yeah.
slows down a bit, but there's nice thrashing and chugging at the end.
Yeah.
Um, solid song. Solid song.
Yeah, this one's all about the songwriting, right? The tempo
Yeah,
changes, they
Yeah.
really
that's
take
right.
you on a bit of a ride, right? So it's not repetitive in any way.
Mm-mm.
Jim, what would you
Oh,
add?
this is like part 2 or part 4 of all these songs. This is just another part where it's taking you in so many musical directions, and it's awesome. It's got a really cool old school Return to a Slayer vibe to me, but again, just with better production. I can hear the guitar parts sound very Slayerish, and I like that. But no, it's a kick-ass song, and you're in song 6, and the album's just, for me, it's just getting better and better. And I absolutely love it. It's a great track, and it's like these songs are all. I like how they have them. Like, there's not a bad song on the album, I'll be honest with you, but like, it's just, I love it how the middle of the album is just such a killer part of the album. So, and it no difference with this track.
Yep. So then that leads us to track number 7, Reasons for Destruction. We'll stay with you, Jim.
Oh, this is the bass track for
Yeah,
me.
yeah.
Yeah,
The first thing
it's
you gotta say, yeah.
finally, like, I mean, I've heard bass in the first 6 songs, but this has just got that wicked intro. It's just got that bass chuggy, very talented bass player, and it's just awesome. I mean, this is another great one, setting up for number 8, which is one of my favorites as well. But I love the fact they really let the bass shine on this one, and this song pounds.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I agree. This is one of my favorites, the bass, but also I like the way you sort of there's some good like tempo changes, like
Yeah.
in that midsection where there's like an acoustic
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
part, like it just sort of like creates this this peaceful like section, but then like it sort of starts heavy and it ends heavy, and so
Yeah.
again, just more like creative. I mean, I guess the band had been around for a few years, right? So they had some time to craft these songs. But yeah, I just think there's a lot of good thought that goes into it. But another killer chorus. Yeah, like and just also like where I see them going into a little bit of technical guitar work as
Mhm.
well. So I appreciate that. It's 5.5 minutes. So they always have time for the music in most of the tracks. Ken, anything you'd add here?
No, you guys pretty much said it all. The only thing I like is I do like that little interlude at 223,
Mhm.
Yeah,
and then it goes back and like you get this, it recharges, you get this nice chug, and it leads to what I think is a decent solo. But
yeah.
yeah, this is what you guys have said about the song. Yeah, again, no reason not to like it.
I always wonder, like we always pick out the same points, but we always have a different like time read.
Yeah.
Like like I have the interlude at 2:35, but one of
235,
us one of us are slower at looking up the time, I guess, or
maybe.
faster or
Yeah,
whatever. Uh, but anyways,
but at least we're in the same ballpark, Billy.
yeah, no big deal. I just think, I mean, since we started this podcast, all three of us usually will call out a section and we're all like about 5, 10
Yeah.
seconds off.
But I love the fact Ken called out in track 2 at 340. I have it exactly written,
Yeah.
340.
Okay, there you
Wicked,
go.
we got the times.
Okay, there we go. Okay, cool. So that's reasons for we started with you, right, Jim?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, yeah. So over to we're down to the last two tracks. Track number 8, Position of Security. Ken, thoughts?
Yeah, like it's got a moody, very moody vibe when it starts, but I like how it really picks up,
Yeah.
and like when you get to 3 minutes, you're getting a chug,
Mhm.
quick pace. You get the solo. They do have it down pat, and I think it works well on this song for them.
Yeah. And this one you can hear the bass. There's some like
Yeah,
it's bass forward too on the track also.
that's right. That's
Yeah.
right.
Yeah. And like this one, I find at times like the pacing, it's almost like I call it like a hard rock version of Xentrix at times
Yes.
when it's not like when it's not like thrashing out or there's some shredding solos there. But yeah, it's a little bit more not their thrashiest song from beginning to end, but that's okay.
No, no, no.
Jim, your thoughts?
Yeah, this is one of my favorite songs. I put down that it's more metal than thrash, so I kind of
Yeah,
hit it on that. But I
Yeah.
love it. I got 302 when the guitar speeds up again. We're around.
I got 3 minutes, so we're pretty close.
But I mean, this is great. I'm glad they didn't end the album on this. But I'll be honest,
Yeah.
like they could have gone to 11 tracks for me, and I would have, with no covers or anything, it would have been great. And but I love the fact, I love the line. I'm not a big lyricist guy, but I love the part where he sings, "How can you die when you never lived?"
yeah, yeah. That's a
It's
good
pretty
line.
cool. Like there's some, the writing is pretty impressive, and this song is just amazing. I like it. I like the fact it's a little maybe not as thrashy as the previous
Yeah.
7,
Mixes it up.
so I'm okay with it.
Yeah.
And I think it just shows off their they're a versatile band. At this point, you're thinking. I mean, I was only young. God, I was only 18 when this came out, and I probably got it maybe when I was 19. And I love the whole album. I played the hell out of it in my Ford Escort at the time. But like, thinking about it now, knowing what I know now, there's a good reason why this song's there. It really shows off their chops in the sense that they can pretty much, I mean, they could have put out a new wave of British heavy metal album. And with your comments with some of the dueling guitars sound a little bit more like Maiden, this is kind of definitely like that extension of the new wave of British heavy metal, where they took it to the thrash level. They went from Motorhead, which was a little bit more crossover with punk and speed metal, to where they went this much farther. But I like the fact they can reel it in and put something like this on the album. It just goes to show how talented this band is.
Yep. No, I agree with you. Like, and that's why I rate it so highly for like a first album, because again, the songwriting's just very strong.
Yeah.
But anyways, so then that brings us into the last track. Only 9 tracks on this album. So Heaven Sent, and that's sent with a CENT. So Jim, why don't you keep it going?
Yeah, it's a great way to end off the album. I'm glad they didn't end off the album with track 8,
True.
because I wanted more of a heavier send off than what track 8 was, and you get it here. But I'll be honest, I think number 9, which is a great song, great way to end off the album, but I wanted a couple more songs. I think that's the only negative that I can give on this whole album, is that it should have been maybe a bit longer, not necessarily in time for like I don't really need any like 7 or 10 minute songs past this, but a couple of more just really fast, kind of showing it off, would have just put an icing on the cake. But I mean, that's a pretty easy comment to make when it's a first album. Pretty impressive to go 9 full tracks, and there's such good 9 great tracks. So the album ends off on a high for me. It's a great song.
Yeah, it's 42 and a half minutes.
Yeah.
I guess there was room for, or even like, the band hinted at some like strong musicianship
Yeah.
throughout this album. So why not throw in an instrumental or something even? I don't know.
True.
I mean, given, Metallica was somewhat of an influence, I mean, Metallica didn't shy away from instrumentals. But anyways, I don't know. Ken, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I like this song a lot. I like Gatsby's his lyrics. They're very. I like how it goes, like another day, another dollar. It's cool. It's got a very. It's catchy. It works a lot for me as well. I think the guitars are really like there's a thunderous sound here.
Yeah.
So it is a really good way to end your album.
Yeah.
And obviously the play on Heaven Sent. Ha ha ha. I find it's clever for me. So I like the song
Yeah.
quite a bit.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I mean, I'm a big fan of it. You guys kind of hit on everything here. So yeah, a good way to end the album. I do find like Chris's vocal approach at the beginning kind of reminds me a bit of like a Mustaine snarl. But you know, he doesn't sing that way through the whole song and certainly
No.
not through the album by any means. But I don't know, every time I hear this track towards the beginning, I hear some Mustaine vocal influence, but yeah, so I think it's a good yeah, a good album, great debut album. So before we go to our top 10,
Oh,
anything else you guys want to say on Xentrix?
I want to rate it. I'm rating it a 10 out of
Yeah.
10 for debut album
I
because
I would. I mean, that's
so many bands we talk about, like, that their debut album was, it was good, but didn't really hit the ground running till their second or third. Although I do love "Kill 'Em All" by Metallica, it's my favorite. But that's because I'm also a little bit more different than everybody. I like times of poor production, and I like times of grittier, nastier stuff. But I like in 1989, this is one hell of an album, and what a great debut. I think it should have been bigger. Should have been bigger overseas here. And I think, I mean, it was in my record store, but I just, I had it. A few of my friends had it, but it wasn't like, it wasn't like a big display or anything like that. I think this band really, really deserves, um, you know, nowadays people, and I love the fact that Seven Words came out and was so popular. I saw it on so many people's top lists. I thought that was pretty cool.
yeah, and I guess 89, 90, right? There were so many thrash albums.
True.
Right?
Yeah.
Like it's so easy for a lot of good stuff got overlooked.
Yeah. Yeah.
Very true.
I think that's
True.
safe to say. Anything you want to add, Ken?
I know. I just I'll echo your both sentiments. Yeah, for a debut album, it's pretty good, even though it's in the later half of the trash wave. But I like it. I if I gave it a 10 out of 10, that would be my rating as well. Um, I I often think it's just too bad that they didn't have greater success.
Yeah.
When you hear this
Yeah.
album, the second album, okay,
Yes.
and Kin, but you would figure after the first two albums they would have had huge success. So I'm kind of like I'm a little sad about that because like
Yeah.
wow, why didn't it play out that way for these guys?
Yeah.
But the good point is what I like about it, compared to so many bands we talk about where we don't know where they're going, like they haven't put anything out for maybe 7 or 8 years. These guys, and they kind of remind me like of the band, the metal band, the British band, they're Satan, or sorry,
Mm,
yeah, like Satan in the sense that Satan went through all this as well, and then boom, they've come out and their catalog's getting popular as they come through, while these guys are the same in that sense. That I like the fact that the popularity is there, so they must in the UK have a huge following. I mean, I had like the last two albums are just so positive
mm,
momentum wise that I think I can't wait for them to put something else out. And I think now's the time. This album, Seven Words, came out in what, 22. Probably see something coming up on the horizon quick. And I think, Billy, you just saw them at, was it Bloodstock?
Yeah, like which is just like outside of London.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean it was crazy. Like the locals like worship this band.
Oh, nice.
cool.
So yeah, like they got a great reception. It was a zoo. So yeah, I felt pretty good about that. So I think that's I don't even know if they ever came to North America. Like I've never seen them.
I'm sure they
I've
did.
seen them twice at festivals, but that's it.
Yeah.
And they were in Europe. So yeah, I don't know if they've ever, I wouldn't be surprised if they never came over
Yeah, yeah. Me
America.
too.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Oh well.
Sad. I agree with Ken. I think there's a lot of material from a lot of bands, but this is a classic example where I think, especially the newer fans, like in their 20s or whatever, that are really getting into thrash metal, hopefully are really. I mean, with the I guess with the the chain that the new stuff is there, they can go backwards and check this stuff out because it's some of it's so good.
Yeah. Just hope they don't go to like Kin as the second one and go
Oh,
back to
no.
Whose Advantage and Shattered Existence.
And Scourge.
We can't control that.
Yeah.
No.
Okay, cool. So yeah, so top 10 UK thrash bands. Ken, do you want to begin us with this one?
Sure. So just so I'm clear, we're picking the band or an album, or was it both?
Oh, the band. If
Okay.
you did albums, that's cool. I figured the band would be easier
Yeah,
than.
I did the band, but
Yeah, that's
I'm
what.
always
Yeah, band. Yeah,
I've got an album note as well, which one that's what I was just asking. Okay.
yeah.
So yeah, I'll start with I don't really have them ranked from 1 to 10, but I'll start with my first pick would be Sabbath, of course.
Oh, yeah.
What they're a classic band, classic British, like UK heavy metal, thrash. Andy Sneap's in the band. What can you
Yeah.
say?
That's what I was mentioning at the beginning.
Andy Sneap, Mike, there's the man.
But Ken, that's the same thing. That's brilliant music, but they've
Yes.
been a million times bigger.
Yep.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't understand the way how certain bands break out and then
Yeah,
some
no,
don't. Like, I
Totally.
don't get it either. I don't
Yeah.
really. I know with Sabbath, like A Time to Come in 1988, a lot of people talk about that album, which is an album I really like as well.
Oh, it's amazing.
But yeah, I don't know. I'm not too sure why this band. They only had 3 albums.
Yeah.
But they do get out of the UK scene. I think they get the most talk.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Yeah.
I do.
Like, what do they call the UK Big Four, right?
Yeah.
The Big Four is them, Anthrax, them, Xentrix, Onslaught,
And
who-
Acid Rain.
Who?
Acid Rain.
Oh, yeah, Acid
Yeah.
Rain.
That's
Yeah.
yeah. Well, that
Yeah.
makes sense.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
My next choice is SSS, Short Sharp Shock. More they're like more crossover thrash. They have 4 albums out. The one that I like the most is the Dividing Line from 2008. Yeah, if you like that kind of like, go for the throat thrash, this is it. This would be it for you. Now, from my understanding, I hear they're on hold now, so I'm not sure what's going on there. But I like their albums. Pretty solid stuff. The next band on this for me would be Savage Messiah. Now, this is a newer thrash band, pretty much run by David Silver, who's the vocalist and guitarist. They have 5 albums, and I bought all 5, so I've been kind of following them. They're thrash, but maybe some slight power metal vibe at times to their music. I really like Insurrection Rising from 2019. If you haven't heard it, seek it out. I mean, you might dig their style and their sound. And then next I found I like Reanimator. This is a classic 3-album kind of band. Like like Condemned to Eternity in 1990. That's a really good album. It's a lot of fun. I love that album cover. They're a pretty decent band. Although I thought I saw recently that they put out an EP in 2019, which is weird because I thought they had actually broke up, but I have to look into that. The next band I have on my list is Silusis. Now, Silusis is like modern melodic thrash with metalcore elements, but I've been listening to them as well since they came out. So they have 6 albums out. I really like Conclusion of an Age in 2008. Really, really solid stuff. The vocalist and guitarist Josh Middleton. I like it. I like his style. It's his band. Pretty solid stuff.
How do you spell that name, Ken?
It's Silosis, so Sylosis.
Oh, okay. I think that might ring a bell. Okay.
Yeah. I don't know if they're super well known. Like, it's obviously modern music, but I like them. I like them quite a bit. And I have Evile on my list because I love Evile. I know the first album is Metallica Worship all the way 2007, but for some reason that album, Enter the Grave, I totally love that as a debut album. It's really
Funnily
solid.
enough, their last album wasn't
that good?
Worship too. but it was
Exactly.
the Black Album that they were late in
Exactly. Yeah.
covering.
The last album, The Unknown, I wasn't a fan of it. I thought that they like get away from the Metallica worship. Why go
Pandering.
back there? You started here, you left that, and then you went back to it.
Yeah.
So it's like I find that a little puzzling for me. But
Yeah.
and then I have Onslaught on my list. I've always liked Onslaught. I followed them from the beginning too, even though that their first couple albums were like more hardcore. And they had a lot of interesting things going back then. Like you
Steve
had
Grimm.
Steve Grimmett. Yeah,
Yeah.
Grimmett was sang for them once. Nige Rocket's pretty much been there from the beginning. I've actually interviewed Nige live at the Hard Luck a few years back, so he's an interesting fellow.
Cool.
I don't know why. I think my favorite one is Killing Peace in 2007.
I like the Force.
Brought back Sly Keeler as a vocalist. Well, that's a great album.
Oh, the Force is
Vicious.
even
Vicious,
their comeback
vicious.
album, right? The
Yeah.
one they put out later is really good.
Exactly. Yeah, I think that's pretty much like you said, their comeback album. And then I have Cerebral Fix on my list. Again, it's another band I've always liked. Very like again, it's like kind of punk. There's like a punk element into it. Crossover appeal for sure. I love their debut album, Tower of Spite, 1990. I used to listen to that album quite a bit. Really
Me
solid
too.
stuff. Oh, you have that? Yeah, it's a good
I
album.
have that album. I have that band and that album on my list. I have to give it away because I was like, oh wow, okay, cool.
No worries.
Good.
I know they broke up, but they haven't put out a bad album in their discovery, from what I can see. And my last two picks, I like Lawnmower Death.
Yes.
I think they're funny. Yeah, it's crossover thrash. But I don't know. There's just something about the style. It's violent. It's punky. It's vicious. I like it. I know they put out Blunt Cutters in 2022. I don't own it, but I've listened to it. These guys are great. I love
I
their
haven't
name.
heard them in decades. Yeah.
Yeah.
Or
Yeah,
not
they're still-
in years. I shouldn't say decades. But.
Yeah, they're still around. I like them. They're interesting. And then I have Acid Rain on my list too.
Wicked.
Acid Rain, solid album. I bought the 2019 album, The Age of Entitlement.
Yeah,
I
great.
really like that album. I really like that album quite a bit. They only have a couple albums out, but they're really solid thrash band as well.
Cool. Any honorable mentions you want to mention, or you're all good?
No, I didn't think about that, so I'm all good.
Okay, cool. Yeah, we got a couple.
Yeah.
Not too many, but or maybe actually a couple overlaps for sure. Jim, what's your list look like?
Pretty much. Well, very similar, but different. Similar but different. But I've got my number 10 pick would be a band called Death Wish. They have an album. I think they only have 2 albums, and I like Demon Preacher from '88. So roughly the same time frame as the Xentrix a year later. But then they had they do a really cool song on there called Wall of Lies, and they do a really cool cover of Symptoms of the Universe by Sabbath on that album. And then their first album, which was I think it was At the Edge of Damnation, I believe, or Demonic Attack. Anyways, great band. Kind of came and went, I guess. My number 9 would be Acid Rain, but I mean that could be even farther up. I like the 1989 album, The Fear. I like that. Insane Ecstasy is a really cool song. Now I picked number 8 is Onslaught, but like I've got a box set of their stuff, so I was able to get a lot of their albums in one shot. But I mean, The Force, 1986. That's one hell of an album. That's I love that band. I love the album that Steve Grimmett was on. I mean, rest in peace. What a god of a singer. Huge Grim Reaper fan. So that just was awesome. Number 7's kind of a weird pick. It was like I got this during the lockdown 2020, Cryptic Shift. So they're kind of maybe not really for this. Maybe they've got a little bit of a thrashy element to it, but it's maybe a little bit more hardcore, maybe a little bit more proggy death. So maybe not the best pick for thrash, but I really like them. I kind of got into them. Number 6, I went with Lawnmower Death, Blunt Cutters. I mean, what a wicked album. And it's fun. I like these guys, and I love the name of their band. I mean, it's just so cool. That's awesome. Number 5, Ken, Cerebral Fix, Tower of Spite. I was like, can't believe he nailed the album too. But that's a classic. I love that album. I went a little different with number 4. I picked Raven. I know you could argue speed metal, thrash, new wave of British heavy metal, but I mean, I got the first, some of the first albums there were definitely had a lot of thrash to it. So I go with Raven. Number 3, Evil. Got to have them on the list, even though their latest album. And I think Billy, you had done a review on that, I believe.
Yeah. I tried my best to be fairly generous.
Yeah, I think you gave it a 7.5 or an 8, and I agreed with you totally when you wrote it.
I think it was 7. I gave it a 6.5, and the editor in chief bumped it to 7.
Yeah, that was a little bit of a letdown, and I think when I remember you writing about it, because I ran out, I think I even bought it, and I bought it because I wanted to know, like, okay, this has got to be good. It's Eva, but no, it wasn't. Number 2, I mean, I kind of did mine in a, I went with Xentrix. I mean, they're one of my favorite UK bands, and I mean, thrash metal through and through. They got to be on my list, even though we just talked in length about one of my favorite albums. And number 1, Sabbath. The History of a Time to Come. I mean, God, that is like heavy metal. That's like I don't know, the Candlemass album, where so many of these albums are just cornerstones of the movement. And like, this is like for thrash metal out of the UK. This is one of the, and it should be way more popular than what it is, for sure. I agree. Bless you. And it should be way more popular, but everybody you talk to, especially, like, I have a lot of friends in the UK, they swear they love this band and they love this album. And I mean, it's a great album. I think it's totally needs to get a lot more love in North America and maybe the rest of the world. I don't know, mostly in North America. I think it kind of flies under the radar there, but that's my favorite. And yeah, Andy Sneap, you can't go wrong. Great album. So those are my top 10 I guess UK thrash bands.
Cool. Yeah, we got some overlap there too. And speaking of Sabbath, like, they got some where Noise released like the Creator box set and the Frost. They did a really good Sabbath box set not too long ago.
Oh, I gotta check
and some great live material from the older stuff. So yeah, I highly recommend that box set. It did, if I remember right, it excludes the 3rd album, because I'm guessing that wasn't on Noise, but it has the first 2, but it has a lot of live shows, and the production on the live shows are fantastic, like hardcover book, like the whole work. So
wicked.
Yeah, if anyone wants to tackle the good earliest stuff from the band, you can just buy the box set.
Cool.
Okay. So yeah, mine are a relative order, but like they can all move 1 or 2. So I didn't spend too much time there. So picked a modern band that I've been getting into, and so they're from Scotland, but it meets the UK definition. So Hell Ripper. So definitely the most modern band on the list, but it's black and thrash. But I mean, I'm not a black and anything fan, but for some reason, like, I love these guys, and it's really just a very small hint of black and vocals. So yeah, there you go. That was
how did I not pick this?
That was on my top, but all their stuff is good, right?
Yeah.
3 full lengths and a couple really like legendary EPs as well. So, and they just continue to grow in popularity, and they're actually coming across to North America to do like the US festival. So I think that's pretty cool. My number 9, Jim hit it all already. So Death Wish, really only 2 albums, but he mentioned those. My number 8 is Evil. Again, you guys covered all that. Number 7 is is Hydra Vein.
Ah, yeah.
Oh,
So
cool.
yeah, I kind of like them. They're an unusual mix, right? Kind of combining like Onslaught and some Venom and a little bit of Slayer, perhaps. And I think they're pretty underrated. Like two really good albums in the late '80s. And when I was doing this list, I discovered they had a new album in 2022 called Unlamented. So I got to do some homework. I didn't know. When I was doing this list, I found a couple of bands that I loved back in the day that had like a recent album. So number six for me is interesting story. It's the band's Pariah, but really this
Huh.
is Satan. So Satan, during their break, they sort of changed their name twice. They went to Pariah and then they went to Blind Fury as well. So they have this amazing album in 1989, Blaze of Obscurity. It's just completely awesome, underrated. I think if you're a Satan fan, you got to check out Pariah and you got to check out Blind Fury as well
It's
because it's Satan.
funny you brought that up because I got a buddy who swears by Pariah.
Oh, it's amazing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, really good stuff. And then I have a band, I don't know if they're lesser known, but I've been a fan like right in the 87, 88, 89 period of this band. It's called Virus. Probably most known for their album Lunacy.
Oh, I know that album.
Lunacy, like very technical thrash. But it's another one. Like these guys have an album out in like 2021 called Evolution Apocalypse. I had no idea. But yeah, I have three classic albums like 87, 88, and 89. Like I love those. And they have really cool artwork as well. Number four, Acid Rain. We
Yeah.
already talked about that. Number three, Onslaught. The only
Wow.
thing I'll add here, yeah, that comeback album in 2020 was Generation Antichrist. That's cool. But like, call me crazy, but my favorite Onslaught album, Jim mentioned it, is with Steve Grimmett. Like,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
I think In Search, I know it's
Oh,
like blasphemous to say that, but I think that is like a master album. Like,
it is.
it's not thrash, but what the hell?
No,
Care. I really like it, and my then I run into one and two will be Sabbath and Xentrix, which we've all sort of talked about. So I mean,
cool.
I guess we're not going to have totally different lists, given there's only so many bands that came out of there, but well, we each had a couple unique ones.
Oh yeah, I think that's great. And you gave me some homework because I'm going to check out that
Which one?
the Virus one.
Oh yeah, and Pariah, if you don't
Yeah,
know.
Pariah.
Yeah. But yeah, get Virus, Lunacy, and they reissued those three classic albums like just when I was moving from Philadelphia to Canada. So that would have been like about just under 2 years ago. They reissued them all, so
Cool.
you should be able to find them, the Virus stuff.
Wicked.
Okay, cool. So I think that brings. Oh, I'm going to mention one other. I had one. I think
Honorable
they
mention.
deserve a shout out. And I always, I'm not 100% sure I'm pronouncing this right, but the band Detritus. Do you guys?
Detritus.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
Detritus. So they're a bit more of a Christian thrash band, but they have like an amazing first album called Perpetual Defiance. I love that album, so wanted to give a shout out. One of my buddies introduced that to me a while back. So yeah, I think that's a great album that's worth checking out.
Cool.
All right. So that brings us to a close, I think, gentlemen. Any final words before I close this out?
Oh, great pick of an album. It was fun doing Xentrix, and we got to do maybe some more, definitely some more UK bands at some point.
But yeah, we should
And
for sure.
explore around. There's some other countries that
Yeah.
didn't the attention that Germany or US thrash bands got. So
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So then next week we're going back to the US. So a little known band called Atrophy, and we're going to cover their first album, Socialized Hate, from 1988. And that's another band that has a great comeback. I know, I think we all really liked their
Oh, yeah.
earlier this year, Asylum. We all got
Yeah, great
that
album.
album for our top lists
Yeah.
because it came out earlier, so easy to forget. So yeah, so that kind of wraps this up. So thanks everyone for tuning in, and have yourselves a good night. And thanks guys, Ken and Jim, for participating.
A little
Awesome.
bit. See you later.